motility throughout the gut. Okay, gut means we are focused on two structures: small intestine and large intestine. Okay, and by the end of the lecture, you should be able to explain the mechanism of electrical activity in smooth muscles, the different motility like peristalsis, segmenting contraction, mass movement, you should know, right? Also, the neural control, which is of two types: extrinsic nervous control and enteric nervous control. Also, you should know the functions of large intestine. So, let's start. Uh, See, your gastrointestinal tract, it is like a tube. Okay, it is like a tube. Suppose this is the small intestine and this is the large intestine, right? So it is like a tube. It starts from the mouth, or you can say the oral cavity, and it ends at the anus. So the total length is 4 to 5 meters. Okay, 4 to 5 meters. This is the total length of gastrointestinal tract. Now, this tract, it is made up of smooth muscles. Okay, like heart, it is made up of cardiac muscle, and your skeletal system, it is made up of skeletal muscles. Okay, and your GI system, it is made up of smooth muscles, and also it has sphincters. Okay, and together they regulate movements of food, movements of food. Like when we eat the food, it enters the esophagus, from the esophagus to the stomach, from the stomach to the small intestine, from the small intestine to the large intestine, and from there the undigested food, it is expelled out by the process of defecation, right? Now, this smooth muscle, it is of two types. Number one is circular muscle or circular smooth muscles, and the other one is the longitudinal smooth muscles. Okay, so when this circular smooth muscle it contracts, it will cause narrowing of the gut wall. Suppose this is the gut, okay, and these are the circular muscles. Okay, so obviously, and suppose this is the lumen of the gut, the inner hollow portion of the tube. This is the lumen. So when this contracts, it will contract like this. So what will happen? The lumen size will decrease. So that's what they have written, narrowing of the gut wall. And when this longitudinal longitudinal smooth muscle contracts, it will result in shortening of the gut wall. So this is the longitudinal muscles. So when they will contract, what will happen? They will contract like this. So there will be shortening of the gut wall. Okay, there will be shortening of the gut wall. Now, this is very important structure. Okay, the GI wall. And this basic structure is same throughout the GIT, right? Like there are 5 layers. This is the GI wall. Okay, it has 5 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we will see it from outside to inside. Okay, so the outermost layer, it is the serosa. It is the serosa. You can see this is the outermost layer of the GI wall. This is the serosa, which consists of epithelium and the connective tissue. Okay. It usually provides stability, right? This serosa. And then beneath this, there is muscularis externa layer. Muscularis externa, which has two muscles, which we have talked about in the previous slide. Longitudinal muscle and the circular muscle. You can also call it muscle layer or muscularis externa, which has two types of muscles, longitudinal muscles and the circular muscle. Okay. And then beneath this, there is submucosa. Submucosa layer. This is the submucosa layer. And the innermost is the mucosa, which has got three layers. Epithelium, the innermost, then lamina propria, and then muscularis mucosa. This is the lumen of the gut. And in this, the first layer is mucosa. The innermost layer is the mucosa, which has three parts. Epithelium, you can see this is the epithelium. Then lamina propria, okay, this one. And then muscularis mucosae, okay, muscularis mucosae. So these are the five layers of the GI system, and this basic structure, it remains the same throughout the GIT. Now, what is the importance of these two layers, submucosa and the muscularis externa? Apart from this, that this muscle layer, it has two types of muscles, longitudinal and the circular. This muscle layer has got two plexus. Okay. Uh, the myenteric plexus. Okay, this is important for MCQ. The myenteric plexus, which is also called as Orbach's plexus. We will see in detail in later slides. Okay. So yeah, as of now, you just remember that this one, this muscle layer, it has myenteric plexus. And this submucosal layer, this submucosal layer, this one is the submucosal layer. So here you can see there is submucosal nerve plexus. So these are the two control system of the GIT, which is called as intrinsic nervous system. Means it has its own nerve supply. Okay, this is also called as enteric. Enteric means GIT, enteric nervous system or intrinsic nervous system or intrinsic nerve plexus. Okay, which is of two types, myenteric and submucosal. Myenteric is present, maybe asked in the exam, the location of myenteric plexus or submucosal plexus. Okay, so myenteric, as the name itself suggests, myenteric means muscles. Okay, so it is present in the muscle layer between the longitudinal and circular muscle, or you can say in the muscularis externa. Okay, both are correct. And the submucosal nerve plexus, it is present in the submucosal layer. Okay, submucosal layer. So this is about the GIT structure, which is very important. Okay, especially these two plexus, myenteric and submucosal. Also, you should know the layers of the GI wall. Okay, in order. Okay, like if you start from the outside, then you should start from serosa, muscle layer, submucosa, and mucosa. And if you are starting from inside out, then you should start from mucosa, submucosa, muscle layer, and then the serosa. Okay. Now, this GI smooth muscle, it functions as syncytium. Okay, syncytium means what? It contracts as a whole, just like the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, it acts as a syncytium. Okay, and this is possible because of this gap junctions. Gap junctions. Okay, which will allow movement of ions from one cell to the adjacent cell. Okay, so it acts as a sensation because of the gap junction. These smooth muscle fibers, they are connected with gap junctions and they allow the movement of ions from one muscle fiber to another. Okay, like suppose this is the smooth muscle. Okay, inside this there are various smooth muscle fibers. Okay, and they are connected to each other with the gap junctions. Okay, so there is easy and fast traveling of ions from one cell to another. Okay, and when action potential occurs anywhere, it generally travels in all direction in the muscle. Okay, and the distance that the action potential travels, it will be dependent on the excitability of the muscle. Now, electrical activity of GIT. Okay, basically we are talking about the smooth muscle, because the GIT, it is made up of, or it consists of, smooth muscles. It is excited by continual slow intrinsic electrical activity. You can say, if you don't want to go in this complicated name, then remember the slow waves, okay, and spikes. Slow waves and the spikes. Uh, we'll take it in detail in the later slide. For as of now, you remember that there are slow waves and the spikes change the voltage of resting membrane potential of GIT smooth muscle can have important effects in controlling motor activity of GIT. So they want to say that the slow wave is responsible for the motor activity of the GI system. Let us see. See, the resting membrane potential. Okay, so for smooth muscle, it is between -50 to -60. Okay, in the exam, don't get confused, because the resting membrane potential, it is different for nerve fibers, it is different for cardiac muscle, and it is different for smooth muscles of GIT. Okay, here it ranges between -50 to -60. So this is the slow wave, and this is the continuous um, um, waves which occurs inside the GI wall like this. Okay, and this spike when it is between, say, -50 to -60. Okay, so it will be like this. But once it reaches the threshold, means it touches the threshold level, or you can say the more positive, -40 or -30, then there is generation or production of spike potential. So this spike potential, it is the true action potential. Okay, this spike potential is the true action potential. The slow wave is the rhythmic activity which occurs all the time. Okay, but it is not responsible for the motility. Once it reaches the threshold level, then there will be generation of spike potential, and it is responsible. Okay, so this is called the true action potential. Now, about slow waves, these slow waves, its intensity is between 5 and 15 millivolts. Frequency is different. Again, important for MCQ. Frequency is different. In the body of stomach, it is 3 times per minute. In duodenum, it is maximum. In duodenum, it is maximum 12 per minute. Okay. And in the terminal ileum, it is between 9 and 12 per minute. Now, this is also important. Interstitial cells of Cajal. Interstitial cells of Cajal, they are believed to act as an electrical pacemaker for smooth muscles. Like cardiac muscle, the pacemaker is SA node, right? From here, uh, electrical activity, it starts. For smooth muscles, it is interstitial cells of Kajal. It acts as the pacemaker. Okay. Now, spike potential, as I have shown you in this picture. Okay. So they are the true action potential. As I said, resting membrane potential is between minus 50 to minus 60 millivolts. Okay. And this spike potential, it occurs when this resting membrane potential, it becomes more positive. Okay, like minus 40 or minus 30. The higher the slow wave potential, obviously, the greater the frequency of spike potential. Okay, usually it is between 1 and 10 spikes per second. The long duration of spike potential is due to, again, this is important for MCQ. Okay, this spike potential is due to opening of slow calcium sodium channels, and it is not rapid influx of sodium as in nerve fibers. It is different. This here the spike potential is due to the slow calcium sodium channels, opening of slow calcium sodium channels. Now, factors that depolarize the membrane, and there are factors which hyperpolarize the smooth muscle membrane. Okay. Obviously, when it is depolarized, it will make it more excitable, and when it is hyperpolarized, it will make it less excitable. Okay. So, what are the factors? Again, it is important for MCQ. You need to memorize it. Stretching of the muscle, stimulation by acetylcholine, stimulation by parasympathetic nerves, because parasympathetic nerves, they secrete acetylcholine and it is stimulatory. Then stimulation by several specific gastrointestinal hormone like motilin. Remember this motility? It is, see, motility, and this motility is increased by the hormone motilin. So easy to remember, motilin, motility. Okay. Now, factors that hyperpolarize the membrane, these are norepinephrine, epinephrine, secretin, and gastrointestinal peptide. Its full name is gastrointestinal peptide. Okay. Also by sympathetic stimulation, because it secretes norepinephrine. Okay. Now, about intestinal epithelium, means the innermost portion of the gut. Okay. That is the mucosa, okay, which has epithelium. Then there is some mucosa, muscle layer, longitudinal and circular, and then the serosa, this outermost layer. Okay, outermost layer. So this is the largest sensory organ in the body. Okay, not only organ. If someone asks which is the largest organ in the body, then it is the skin. But it is the largest sensory organ in the body. Okay, and it has many cells, like you need to remember this name, enterochromaffin cells. Okay, so they are present, enterochromaffin cells, and they are stimulated as they are in the they are directly in contact with lumen. Okay, because we are talking about the innermost layer. So they are stimulated by luminal content, what is present in the lumen. So either the lumen is distended due to the food, or the osmolality, or the acidity, and the digestive products like fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. Okay, this enterochromaffin cells, they secrete serotonin. Okay, that stimulate sensory nerves via 5-hydroxytryptamine. Okay, simply you have to remember this enterochromaffin cells. This is the sensory cells present in the intestinal epithelium. They secrete serotonin. Okay. Also, so far we have talked about the enteric nervous system. Okay, which is also called as intrinsic nervous system, enteric or intrinsic. which is absolutely present in the wall of the gut. But it has also one more innovation, which is called as autonomic innovation. Autonomic innovation. Okay. Parasympathetic supply and sympathetic supply. So when it is stimulated by sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system, it will stimulate the motility of the gut and it will cause secretion. Okay. So this parasympathetic nervous system, it is via vagus nerve and the pelvic nerve. Okay. Vagus nerve arises from the vagal nucleus in the medulla oblongata, and it will supply the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and proximal, maybe asked in the MCQ, okay, because it is a bit confusing, and the proximal half of the large intestine, the colon, not the entire large intestine, only the proximal half, okay. And then the pelvic nerves, it comes from three sacral segments, second, third, and fourth, and they supply the distal half of the colon, rectum, and anal canal. Okay. Uh, and this autonomic nervous system, be it parasympathetic or sympathetic, they entirely terminate on local nerve plexus. I mean, the intrinsic nervous system, the submucosal nervous system, and the myenteric nervous system. See, this enteric and intrinsic both are same, okay, enteric or intrinsic, and they consist of submucosal plexus and myenteric plexus, okay. Then sympathetic supply, it is inhibitory, okay, it will inhibit the motility because sympathetic nervous system, it gets activated when we are in stress. And in stress condition, due to fear, there is fight and flight response. So you don't want your GI system to be active. Okay, you don't want to defecate. You don't want more secretions in your GI or increased motility. So it inhibits the motility. It arises from the thoracolumbar T8 and L2. Okay, and it relies on collateral ganglia like celiac and mesenteric. Okay, and then they reach GIT via greater and lesser splanchnic nerves. Uh, Now the enteric nervous system. Okay, uh, little bit more. Please do remember both the names. Submucosal plexus, which is present in the submucosal layer of GI wall. It is also called as Meissner's plexus. Okay, Meissner's plexus. And it controls mainly the secretory function. It controls mainly the secretory function of GIT and lies in the submucosal layer, as I said. The other one is the myenteric, which is also called as Orbach's plexus. Myenteric means muscle layer, okay, which is also called as Orbach's, because in the exam they can use either Orbach's or myenteric. So you should know both the names, okay. It controls mainly the motor function because it is myenteric. It is present in the muscle layer. Okay, so motor function. And this is submucosa or Meissner plexus. It is for secretory function. The enteric nervous system functions by itself. As I told you, it functions by itself, but it requires some communication with the parasympathetic and sympathetic neurons. As you can see in this picture, okay, this is a submucosal plexus, this is a myenteric plexus, this is a parasympathetic nerve supply, this is a sympathetic nerve supply, and they communicate with each other to execute a function. Now, the main topic, types of motility in small intestine. Okay, so we have got four. Peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement means propulsive movement. Okay, peristaltic movement means propulsive movement means we movement of chyme or the bolus from one place to another. Suppose your small intestine, it starts from duodenum. Okay, so here there is bolus. Okay, so this bolus through peristaltic movement, it will propel in the forward direction, means anus, towards anus. Okay, through the peristaltic movement. We will see later um, the mechanism. As of now, remember the peristaltic movement. Then the other movement is rush peristalsis. Okay, also the segmenting movement and anti-peristaltic movement. Peristaltic movement, anti-peristaltic movement, rush peristalsis, and the segmenting movement. So we have these four types of small intestine movements, starting with the peristaltic movement, which help in propulsion of food. Okay, so it moves the chyme. Do you know what is chyme? Chyme is the food which we eat. When it enters in the stomach, it is chopped, okay, and through the mixing movement, uh, it becomes in semi-solid state, okay. It is like a paste. So this paste is called as chyme. This is called as chyme, okay. So it moves from duodenum to large intestine, okay. So here you can see there is constriction, okay, proximal to the bolus, and relaxation uh, this after the bolus. So because of this constriction, this bolus will move in the forward direction. Now it got shifted from here to here, okay. Then further what will happen? There will occur another constriction ring, okay, and there will be further relaxation. So this process goes on repeating till it reaches the large intestine, okay. So this peristaltic wave move at a velocity of 0.5 to 2 centimeter per second, okay, and it is faster in the proximal intestine, means it is faster in the region of duodenum. Okay. The chyme normally passes from the pylorus to the ileocecal valve in 3 to 4 hours. Okay. So it takes 3 to 4 hours to pass. Do you know what is pylorus? This is the stomach. Okay. This is the body of fundus, body of stomach, and this is the pyloric end of the stomach. And from this pyloric end, the first part of duodenum, it starts. Okay, duodenum, then jejunum, and then ileum. So from the pyloric part of the stomach to the ileocecal valve, the last part of the intestine. So this chyme will reach in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, it will take 3 to 4 hours to reach from the pylorus to the ileocecal valve, means the end part of the small intestine, the ileum. Okay, and it depends on the enteric nervous system. Okay, this peristalsis is uh, controlled by enteric nervous system, and it persists after the section of the extrinsic nervous system. Means extrinsic nervous system is what? Autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic. So if you cut this, even then this persists because it is dependent on the integrity of enteric nervous system. And it is stimulated by mucosal mechanoreceptor. Obviously, when the in this picture, this chyme, it enters here, so it will stretch the wall. Okay, so this is the stimulus for the activation of this enteric nervous system stretching, which are mechanoreceptors. Okay, so as I said that the muscle layer, it has circular muscle and the longitudinal muscle. Okay, so the circular muscles of GI wall, it contract proximally, as I said in this picture. Sorry, where it has gone. Okay, this one. Proximally, it contracts, and distally, it relaxes. Okay. Uh, so circular muscle contract proximally, and there will be release of acetylcholine. Okay. And relaxes distally, as I have shown you in the picture. And this relaxation is due to the VIP. VIP is the vasoactive intestinal peptide. Okay. So they cause relaxation, maybe asked in the MCQ, VIP and nitric oxide, and this acetylcholine, which is released, it causes uh, contraction. Okay. And then the longitudinal muscle, it will contract. So it will pull the gut wall over the bolus, helping its further propulsion. This is the longitudinal muscles. Okay. So when it will contract like this, so the bolus will expose. Okay. It will contract like this. Are you getting my point? So it will help in propulsion of um, chyme. Now, we have talked about peristalsis movement, okay, which promotes propulsion of chyme. Now, the other one is anti-peristaltic movement, which may occur in the duodenum and distal part of ileum. In duodenum, it regurgitates its content back into the stomach to reduce duodenal acidity. See, the food which is present in the stomach, it is highly acidic. Okay, but the stomach has the gastric mucosal barrier, so there is no damage. But when this acidic food enters in the duodenum, so this duodenum, it gets irritated. Okay, large amount of acidic food, duodenum cannot handle it. Okay, so some of the food, it regurgitates back into the stomach through antiperistalsis. Okay. Also, the distal part of ileum. Okay. It has also antiperistaltic movement to promote complete absorption of food. Complete absorption of food. Then we have peristaltic rest. Peristalsis rush. This is nothing but the peristaltic movement, just the one we have seen or discussed in the previous slide, but it is very strong. Okay, peristaltic rush. Strong waves are called peristaltic rush, and it is spread rapidly over a long distance in the small intestine. Okay, the important thing is normally it is not seen. Okay, we are all normal at the moment. Okay, so there is no peristaltic wave unless the intestinal mucosa is irritated by some chemical or infection. Okay, virus, bacteria, so there will be peristaltic rush. Okay, now, the benefit of this peristaltic rash is to excrete the chyme from the intestine, okay, because it is infected due to the infection, okay, and it will lead to diarrhea or malabsorption. Malabsorption, okay. It will lead to, if the peristaltic mucosa is irritated by infection, or okay, or any other irritant substance, so there will be peristaltic rush, which will lead to diarrhea. And because of diarrhea, because the chyme is not staying in the small intestine for long duration, so there will be incomplete absorption, which is called as malabsorption of nutrients. Okay. The next movement is segmenting movement. This segmenting movement, it helps in mixing of food with the intestinal juice. See, we have gastric juice, okay, which has HCl. Also, we have intestinal juice, okay. So the kind which reaches the intestine, it should properly mix with the juice, intestinal juice, for proper absorption, for proper digestion and absorption. Okay. So this is done by segmenting movements. This is done by segmenting movements. So same they have written, mixes the chyme with the intestinal juice, okay, by moving it to and fro. It is basically myogenic, means it will be controlled by the myenteric plexus, right? And it originates by the pacemaker cells, that is interstitial cells of Kajal, okay. And this movement, it persists even after section of extrinsic nerves. Extrinsic nerves means parasympathetic and sympathetic, okay, and also after blocking of the enteric plexus, because it is under control of BER. Okay. Now focus on the mechanism of mixing movements. So the circular muscles contracts at several sites, dividing the small intestine into nearly equal segments, 2 to 3 centimeters long. As you can see in this picture, this is the small intestine, okay, and the circular muscle, it will constrict at different size but at a equal distance. So there is constriction, you can see there is constriction, okay, like this, like this, like this, okay. And inside there is chyme, which has to be mixed with the intestinal juice, right? Then after this constriction at various sides but at an equal distance, this contraction will die out. Okay, it dies out. And another constriction ring will appear in the other side. Okay, as you can see here. Now, the constriction is here. This circular muscle will contract at this side. So what happens because of this movement? This chyme, it will be broken because of this constriction into two halves, here and here. And then another constriction will appear here. Okay. So again, this chyme will be divided into two parts. So this way, this cycle keeps on repeating. Okay. Again and again. So this way, the chyme, it will be divided into halves, okay, and it will mix thoroughly with the intestinal juice, okay. So in this way, this segmenting movement, it helps in mixing of food. Now, this is another movement of small intestine. This is called as migrating motor complex, or in short MMC. MMC, or migrating motor complex. It is first of all cyclic. Okay, it occurs again and again, and it occurs in the stomach and small bowel, means small intestine. Please do remember this migrating motor complex. It is a movement of stomach and the small intestine. It is present only in stomach and small intestine, and it is not present in the large intestine. Okay, and that too during fasting, when you are not eating food, that time this activity will occur. But as you will eat, this MMC will be interrupted. Okay, it will die. It can start from the stomach antrum or duodenum, and then it will migrate distally. Stomach antrum means this is the part from where the duodenum starts, antrum. So it can start from here. Okay, then it will go to the duodenum and distally, the other parts of the small intestine. This MMC is which originates in the antral part of the stomach. It is stimulated by hormone like motility, ghrelin, also by vagal stomach stimulation, and drug like erythromycin. Okay, and MMC, which originates in the duodenum, it is stimulated by serotonin and somatostatin. Okay, function, it is clearly not known what is the exact function of migrating motor complex, but it is seen that the person, it is absent. Okay, so they will suffer from gastroparesis. Paresis means weakness, gastro means stomach, weakness in the stomach, or intestinal pseudo obstruction, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So these are the conditions which can develop in individuals who don't have MMC. Okay, but what is the mechanism? Exact mechanism is not known. Now about large intestine. So small intestine have got three parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So this is the last part of the ileum, okay, which ends where? In the cecum. From cecum, large intestine starts. And here there is ileocecal valve to prevent the backflow of the undigested food, or you can say the feces. Then this portion, this cecum, it goes in the upward direction. That's why it is called as ascending colon. That's why it is called as ascending colon. And then this is the right side. So liver, that is why it is called as hepatic flexure. And then it goes in a transverse direction. Okay, transverse. So this is called as transverse colon. This is called as transverse colon. And then this is the site for spleen. So this is called as splenic flexure. And then it goes down. So it is called as descending colon. Descending colon. So cecum, ascending colon, transverse colon, and then descending colon. And here this is S-shaped. S-shaped. So it is called as sigmoid colon. Sigmoid colon. Okay. And then this is the rectum, last part. And this is the anal canal from where we pass the stool. Okay. Here in the rectum, it has got two sphincters. Very important to understand the mechanism of defecation. It has two sphincters: internal anal sphincter and external anal sphincter. Okay. This internal anal sphincter is made up of smooth muscles, and it is involuntary. You do not have any control on this sphincter. But yes, you have control on external anal sphincters. Okay, sphincter, because it is made up of skeletal muscle. You have got the control. Uh, yes. Functions of large intestine. So mainly it secretes mucus, it causes absorption of water, okay, and vitamins, absorption of vitamins which are produced by the colonic bacteria, and of course, storage of fecal matter prior to defecation. It is stored in the colon. Main function of each part of the colon, this cecum and ascending part, it is processing the chyme, okay, and this transverse colon is mainly for storage, and dehydration means water absorption will take place, so the undigested food, which is the feces, it will become more thick, okay, and hard. And then this is for passage of fecal matter, and here this is the reservoir of fecal matter up to 500 ml. But see, normally the rectum is empty. All the time, rectum doesn't have uh, feces. Okay, the feces it enters when there is mass movement and you are going to defecate. Secretions of large intestine. So mainly the mucosa of the large intestine. It has many crypts of lubricant. Maybe asked in the exam, crypts of lubricant is present in large intestine or small intestine. So it is present in large intestine. Okay, it is a structure which is present in large intestine. Also, this is very important. There is no villi. Okay, no villi. This villi is the main feature of small intestine. Small intestine. Okay, it is present in small intestine. So crypts of lubricant and there is no villi. Okay, so this is the main feature of large intestine. Then presence of goblet cells that secrete mucus. That secrete mucus. And this mucus, why it is important? Because it provides an adherent medium for holding fecal matter together. Means like a binder, it binds the feces. Okay. And stimulation of pelvic nerves cause marked increase in mucus secretion. Okay. And this occurs along with increase in peristaltic motility in the colon. Absorption in large intestine. So it absorbs water. Okay. It absorbs bile. Whatever is present in the undigested food, it absorbs. Okay. And it is the function of proximal half of the colon. As we had seen in the previous slide, that the proximal half is responsible. Okay. Also, absorption of urobilinogen, stercobilinogen, and some toxins. That's why it is said that constipation is not a good thing, because in constipation, your fecal matter it stays in the colon for longer duration. So if there are toxins, okay, they will also be absorbed. More stay of feces in the colon, more absorption of these substances, water, bile, urobilinogen, stercobilinogen, or toxins. That's the reason in constipation, when you pass the stool, it is very hard because most of the water has got absorbed by the proximal half of the colon. So the fecal matter, it becomes hard. Colonic bacteria, they are very important because they form vitamin K, B12, thiamine, and form various gases. Okay. Also in colon, there are bacilli, right? They digest small amounts of cellulose. Okay, undigested cellulose, which is present in the fecal matter. So it is digested by just a small amount. Okay, it is digested by bacilli. Now, vitamin K is very important, which is produced by the colonic bacteria. Okay, because vitamin K, it is very, very important for blood coagulation. Okay, this is one of the most important factor for blood coagulation is vitamin K, which is synthesized by the colonic bacteria. But only vitamin K is not responsible for blood coagulation. We need other clotting factors as well. Okay, so this is about colonic bacteria. And then we have motility in large intestine. So we have two types, mixing and propulsive. Mixing means proper mixing of the fecal matter, which is also called as ostration movement, and propulsive movement, again, to propel the food or the fecal matter towards anus for defecation. So that is called as mass movement or mass peristalsis, right? Ostration is the mixing movement and mass movement is the propulsive movement. Okay. And what they have mentioned here is the transit of small labeled markers through the large intestine occurs in 36 to 48 hours. Okay. So they mean to say they ask the patient to swallow markers which is labeled. Okay. And then they take pictures. So what they found that this label marker, it reaches the large intestine in 36 to 48 hours. So this is the transit time. Transit time means reaching time for reaching from one place to another, right? So for colon, it is 36 to 48 hours. Okay. Segmenting movements, as I said, this is also called as hostrations. Okay. So contraction of the circular muscles divide the colon into sacs. Okay. About 2 to 2.5 centimeter. This is called as hostra. As you can see here, this is the hostra, sac-like structures. Okay. And it is due to the contraction of the circular muscles. The sacs are shortened by the tinea coli. Now, again, you need to memorize this name, tinea coli, because this is a special structure which is present in the colon. Here in this picture, you can see this tinea coli. Okay. So this tinea coli, it gets shortened. So what will happen? There will be further, I mean, sorry, there will be more bulging. Okay. So this sac will become more prominent because of this shortening of the tinea coli, like this, like this, like this. And this tinea coli is shortened, so it will further uh, bulging of the sacs. They are very slow, occurs every 25 minutes, very slow. Okay, and it helps in absorption. So segmenting movements, it helps in proper absorption of water and electrolytes in the colon. Mass peristalsis or mass movement, both are same. It propels the feces from colon towards anus. Means this is the movement which is mainly responsible for the process of defecation. Okay, mass movement. Because of this, there is desire for defecation. Usually, this movement occurs only a few times every day. Only a few times every day, mainly 10 minutes in the morning before or after breakfast. Although it can occur in other times also, but usually it occurs 10 minutes in the morning before or after breakfast. And this is because of the neurogenic factors like gastrocolic reflex. If someone asks the reason for mass movement, so it is gastrocolic reflex and the parasympathetic stimulation, right? Uh, Now, defecation. What is defecation? Very simple. It is voiding of feces. It is voiding of feces. Feces is formed in the large intestine and stored in sigmoid colon. Do you remember the sigmoid colon? The last part, S-shaped part. Okay, and from there, the rectum starts, and this is the anal canal. This is the sigmoid colon. Defecation reflex, mass movement drives the feces into the sigmoid or the pelvic colon. Both are same, sigmoid or pelvic colon. Okay. So when this mass movement it initiated, it will drive the feces into the sigmoid colon, and then there will be desire for defecation. Okay, desire for defecation because the feces it enters into the rectum due to the mass movement. Okay, and because of this there will be initiation of defecation reflex. Okay, the process of defecation involves the contraction of the rectum and relaxation of the internal and external anal sphincter. Okay, now this is the last slide. Defecation reflex. As I said, for defecation, mass movement is responsible, which is due to the gastrocolic reflex or the parasympathetic stimulation, right? So, what happens because of this mass movement? The food or the fecal material, undigested food, it will enter in the rectum. And when it enters the rectum, there will be stretching of the mechanoreceptors. Okay. And this is because of this stretching, what will happen? The myenteric plexus, it will get stimulated and it will further stimulate there will be more contraction of this part of the colon and more fecal material will enter in the rectum. Okay, normally, as I said, rectum is empty, but because of this mass movement, this fecal matter will enter in the rectum. Also, from the this information will be taken to the parasympathetic uh, supply, which is from S2, S3, and S4. Okay, and efferent will come through this S3, S3, and S4, and it will uh, inhibit the internal anal sphincter. See, normally what I said, there are two sphincters, internal anal sphincter and the external anal sphincters. They both are contracted. They both are contracted normally. But when there is desire for defecation, then this internal anal sphincter will open, and if you are in the mood of defecation, means the atmosphere is favorable for defecation, like unfavorable condition, like you are driving, right? Or you are at a place where there is no washroom. So in that case, you want to avoid defecation. Okay, so that can be done by contracting the external anal sphincter, because I told you that the internal anal sphincter, it is a smooth muscle, it is involuntary. On the other hand, the external anal sphincter, it is voluntary. So voluntary, you can control, you can avoid defecation for some time. Okay, but after some time, again there will be mass movement and there will be desire for defecation. Okay, so and you find the favorable condition, there is washroom, you want to defecate. So from the higher centers, okay, this input will come, uh, and through the pudendal nerve it will reach to the external anal sphincter, and this external anal sphincter, it will be also relaxed. So both internal as well as external anal sphincters are relaxed, and you can defecate. So with this, defecation process is completed, right? This one is the last slide showing the endogenous secretions and the reabsorption. So endogenous secretion, as you know, there are salivary secretion, gastric secretion, there is secretion of bile, pancreas, and intestine. So total it is 7,000, right? Uh, Also the this one from the ingested which you are eating. Okay, if you include this, it will become 9,000. Out of this 9,000, uh, there will be absorption in jejunum, ileum, and colon around 8,800, right? So total loss is just 200 in feces. Okay, just 200. This is just for the knowledge. So with this, we complete the motility in the gut. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or I will end the meeting.
Doctor, can you
Yes.
go to slide 19?
Slide 19. Okay, wait. 19. Okay, this one.
Yes.
Okay.
The sentence they're neurogenic, but resist after section of sternocleic nerves. I didn't get it. What nerves we exactly section?
Oh, okay. Neurogenic. See, we were talking about the peristalsis, which I said it has enteric nervous system control. Okay, and it persists after section of extrinsic nervous. See, this enteric nervous system and the although this enteric nervous system it acts on its own, but it has to communicate with the autonomic nervous system as well. Okay, they coordinate with each other and then they execute the function. But if you will cut this extrinsic nervous system, means the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerve supply, even then this motility will persist. They mean to say that. Okay, I think I clear.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you everyone. Yes.
Doctor, can you go to the slide autonomic innervation parasympathetic supply? I think it's, can you go
uh,
up?
uh, we're here 13 slide number.
I think so.
Okay, this one.
Yeah, they entirely terminate on local nerve plexus. The parasympathetic terminate, what do you mean they terminate?
Okay, they mean to say this autonomic nervous system. See, this GI, okay, it has its own nerve supply, which is called as enteric nervous system or intrinsic nervous system, which consists of myenteric plexus and the Meissner plexus, or you can say some mucosal or Auerbach's plexus. Okay, but they also communicate with the autonomic nervous system in the form of parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. They here in this slide they are talking about parasympathetic nerve supply, which comes from vagus and pelvic, and they are saying these two nerve supplies they terminate, means, or you can say they communicate with the local nerve plexus, that is the enteric nervous system, submucosal and myenteric. They mean to say this one. Okay, this one. It has its own nerve supply. See, they have shown this mucosa, the innermost layer. This is the epithelium. Okay. So this is the mucosal layer, and then this is the submucosal layer. So submucosal plexus, and then the muscle layer having the myenteric plexus. Also, it has got the supply parasympathetic and some sympathetic. You can see they terminate on this. They terminate on this. Okay. They coordinate with each other and then they execute the function. Is it clear?
Yeah, okay, got it. So
Okay.
terminate, so they communicate, they don't
Yeah, yeah,
end.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
They end here.
okay, thank you.
Welcome, Jaya. Anyone, or I shall end the meeting? Okay. Thank you, everyone.